Well, hello there, folks. Great to see you again. Welcome back to Path to Abundant Living. Ryan Ruff, your moderator here. I'm joined alongside Matt Nordmann and Scott Morrison of Morrison Nordmann. We're bringing you another wealth management discussion here on the podcast today. And we've got a good one today. It's all about family businesses, as we talk about a lot on this show. And today's episode is about reaching outside of the confines that is the family business. When you've hit a crossroads or there's a moment of friction or a moment of potential prosperity, and it's about asking for outside advice, finding trusted sources that can help your family business elevate itself. So it's this idea of when smart family businesses know that they can no longer go it alone. That's the topic of today's episode. But first, let's welcome the guys on before we get into it. Matt and Scott, good to see you today. How we doing, fellas?
Ryan, great to see you.
Hi, Ryan. Matt, looking great.
What's the word today, Scott?
What's the word today?
Yeah. What's the word today?
Happy.
Happy. All right. What makes Scott Morrison happy today?
I spent some time at the lake, looking out over the big lake and seeing the sunset and, having
Life
my
is good.
favorite beverage.
There we go. Well, I was talking to Scott before we pressed record. Not a bad place to spend Father's Day, right, Scott? That's some good times right there. Um, well, and of course, happy Father's Day to all the fellas as we sit down and record this just a little bit after the fact. But guys, we're talking about family businesses today. It's our bread and butter. It's what we talk so much about here. But today's got an interesting kind of curveball to the situation of, if you've built a family business, you've achieved a level of success. So I want to start today's conversation with a myth, though. Doesn't asking for outside advice mean you've kind of lost control of your business if you need to go hire a consultant to come in and help you?
It's actually the opposite, right? You get to a certain level. We can get to a certain level on our own, and having some outside counsel come in and help us, they can help see potential pitfalls that we don't see, whether we're in them or moving toward them, and or say, hey, we can get you, 2, 3, 5x growth that you're not experiencing right now.
I think that one of the things I had to learn, I still have to learn, even at my age now, is that somebody once told me is that you can either carry buckets from the well or you can build a pipeline. And if you're going to be carrying buckets all of the time, just yourself, because that's how it initially started, that's the first thing you learn to do. When you think about scaling a business, if you're not building pipelines, if you're not scaling and building a team, you're going to find yourself, you know, trying to do the day-to-day things by yourself, and you're not going to be as successful.
Well, Scott, I want to throw another question right back to you here. When do you feel that a family business usually realizes that it's time to seek that outside advice?
I think there's probably a moment when you say, boy, I wish I had, you know, fill in the blank. I wish I had. What is it that I need to do going forward? Because now is the business so consuming that I can't even, think of what's the next highest priority. Uh, that's when I think I need help. I need experts in their fields. I think of an analogy when people talk about somebody like, Tom Brady being the greatest quarterback of all time. Try to imagine Tom Brady throwing to three other Tom Bradys. Uh, it would not go well. I think the guy ran like almost a 6 second 40. Probably need to have some guys with other talents around you so that you can utilize yours the best. And then with that team of talent around you, then sky's the limit.
I just saw you mentioned Tom Brady. I just saw an article about him that I think it was the receiver Josh Gordon said Tom used to have the receivers move in with him in the summertime for workouts and literally throw the same pass 50 times. Like, I'm going to throw this ball to you at this spot 50 times, right? We're going to be so precise. Well, like Scott said, well, okay, he's not throwing to himself. Well, and you got to have the offensive line. Well, and you got to have the defense to get you the ball back, right? All this entire team. Tom Brady's not winning with only Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean every business is, eventually reaching a point where yesterday's solutions are not tomorrow's answers. Um, do you have children that are now ready to enter the business? Are you in a different tax situation than you were when you first started? All of these different things are probably in play if you've had a successful business. And, I'm facing those questions myself, in transitioning. So if 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 I don't know the answers, then I need to get the right people around me that can help.
Sure, fellas, we look at a lot of different reports out there to bring our audience up to date information, statistics, and relevant thoughts. CEG Insights had put one out recently, and kind of looking at the report over, there's a heavy emphasis on leveraging advisory teams, and we've talked about having a team of trusted advisors a lot on this show, so it's not a new concept to our regular listeners. But for those that are newer to us, walk me through this concept of an advisory team. What does that look like and feel like for somebody?
For families that are have net worth of $500 million plus, you would create what's called your own family office. And in that office, you would have an attorney, a CPA, a tax attorney, insurance person, someone to handle your travel, all your personal needs, right? You have this entire team on staff that their sole purpose is to wrap their arms around you and help you achieve all the things that you're trying to do. Well, and as we say all the time, Ryan, you know what the problem is? Most people don't have $500 million or more. But you have your own plan that you're trying to achieve in your own wealth. And so that's where on your team you want to have the wealth advisor, the CPA, the estate planning attorney. And you want to have what the issue is not coordination, it's lack of coordination that so many business owners and families see. It's like Scott has referenced many times, it's that game of telephone, right? You tell one person and it becomes siloed information. They tell you, hey, Ryan, go take this information now and go see this other professional. And then that professional tells you something else and something else. Next thing you know, you have all this information that you're not the expert in. That's why you have these experts on your team.
Yeah, I think too, it's not just about saying I have a CPA or an attorney or, wealth planner. It's not as simple as just saying I have those relationships. It's, are those relationships collaborative on my behalf? Are they talking about what's important to me in my life as opposed to those siloed conversations that you're trying to remember? What did my CPA tell me that I have to go share with my attorney? Because so much information gets lost in that process. So where Matt was alluding to, the family office, well, it wasn't too long ago we had an episode about technology where, hey, in today's world, with whether it be team meetings or Zoom or things where we can now as professionals collaborate together so much easier on behalf of a client. I think it gives the client extreme confidence to see a team talking about him and understanding, what their needs are, uh, and not just having conversations about just taxes or just estate planning, but talking about it more holistically as a group.
Yeah, the siloed conversations create gaps, and the gaps create a ripple effect of problems in different ways, shapes, and forms. Guys, I'm gonna jump down now. Let's talk about the assembling of said team. Who are usually the first people that you would bring on to an advisory team as a family business owner?
Accountants and attorneys. Simple, right, to say that. But accountants are really great at the numbers of when it comes to you have all this revenue and how do we play defense against the tax man? We'll talk about offense because everybody talks about defense wins championships, but if you don't score points, you don't win the championship. So you still have to score points, so there still has to be some offense involved. And the attorney helps craft things to protect because we live in a litigious society, right? To say, okay, you've built this, so how do you make sure that it's not unjustly taken from you?
So, guys, I mean, we say team for a reason. There's more than just the attorneys, the CPA. Where does your role as a wealth manager fit into that greater, team collaborative effort?
I think that the one thing that you'd probably be surprised is, yes, our expertise is in the investment side of things and in the growth of wealth. Uh, but I think, if you have this, for example, the office that we're referring to, somebody needs to be the point man. Somebody needs to be the one who's kind of the captain. And I think that's one of the things that the client appreciates most, is that somebody's actually taking ownership for that role. So I think in many times Matt and I find ourselves in the role of coordinating those relationships with the team, so that the client doesn't have to do that, and that we're making sure we're asking all of the right questions and kind of teeing it up for those professionals so that they're all able to display what their professional, talents are, and how it all fits into the overall plan with the client.
And what do some of those questions look like, Matt?
Yeah, I was just going to say, so a lot of times people say, do we have enough? Right? That's one of the biggest questions that we see. I remember there were some companies that would show people walking around with this giant number, right? That's your number. It was like, what's my number? What's my number? And you can create so much confidence and clarity when you can show someone to the dollar, to age 100, how much they'll need, right? So you have your need and then you have your excess. And so you can show them you have more than enough, here's the excess. Now, how do we protect what you've built? How do you prepare for the next generation? How do you not have kids and grandkids of entitlement, right? It's like, oh, we can say and do whatever we want. It's building that foundation in them. And how do you transfer your wealth to that next generation in the most efficient way possible so that Uncle Sam isn't taking 40 to 50% of it?
Gentlemen, we're talking about this idea of the advisory team, though. You surrounded yourself as the family business owner with this team. You're feeling good about your situation, but here we are today talking about bringing on outside advice and help. So, family business consultants, executive coaches that exist out there. Why would a successful family business who has that team around them already need to go out for more help?
Simply put, family dynamics. I'll let Scott expound, but I'm going to say one thing. If people know me any amount of time, I'll say this. Look, every family has some level of dysfunction. Is it a little bit? We can get together on weekends and have dinner together. We can go on vacation together, or we going on what used to be the Jerry Springer show or Dr. Phil or Maury, right? Where do we fall in that? But because every family has it, there's a reason we move out of our parents' homes eventually, right? We don't live with our siblings generally, and there's a reason for that. Now, throw in business, there you go.
You want to find out how well your team is working, have Thanksgiving dinner with them. You know, can you have Thanksgiving dinner as well as you can have a business meeting? Because if everybody is comfortable in rowing in the same direction, you probably can have a really nice dinner. But if there's a whole lot of animosity going on behind the scenes at the business level, it will show up at the dinner table. So I think, yeah, when you're bringing in outside uh, team members, is when you find out just how collaborative is that effort.
I'll share one more thing. Scott, with his extensive background, just has talked about, family dynamics of just normal families, not even if you're in business together, how families relate when they get together and what roles sometimes we will fall into when we get with our family, right? You have mom and dad, or maybe even grandma and grandpa, if it's a second generation or even a third generation business. How are decisions made, or if there's disagreements, how do you come to an agreement to move forward? And then now again, you throw in that 20, 30, 40, 50-year family relationship on top of the business relationship. Like Scott says, hey, if you can have a nice Thanksgiving dinner and without potatoes flying or mashed potatoes flying, more power to you.
I like those kinds of dinners, guys, personally. Um, you guys have seen a lot in your combined experiences when it comes to the good, the bad, the ugly of advisory teams working efficiently or dysfunctionally. When you see the really good ones, the ones that are doing exceptional work together, what makes that work so good? Why is it so good?
I think that if you've done a really good discovery process where you've spent more time talking about what's most important to the client, the solutions we'll find the solutions. The professionals will find the solutions as long as you really know what's really important to the client. Because if we're all just speaking to the to our own expertise and just saying, well, let me share with you what I know, it doesn't necessarily speak to what the client needs. It just kind of is an opportunity for you to just show your wares. And we'd be wasting a whole lot of time if all the professionals just got up on a soapbox and said, here's what I believe about taxes, or what I believe about finances, or what I believe about anything. If we're not operating from the client's perspective, it might not be nearly as complicated as we wanted to make it. We might find the right solutions together. And when the client sees that, when a client sees working toward a specific goal that they've made very clear to everybody, then that's usually a really positive outcome. And it may not necessarily mean it's the most sophisticated plan. It just means that everything's been worked out, in the simplest way. Now, as Matt alluded to, if there's a lot of other family dynamics going on where it all of a sudden gets really complicated, or there's a special needs within the family or something like that, well, now all of a sudden that's where the attorney and the CPA get to really, show their wares. You want to make sure that the CPA and the professionals, the wealth manager, that we actually see that positive outcome, because we better be able to step up in our role and say, well, wait a minute, the client just said this was important to them. That doesn't seem to fit. And I don't think the client necessarily thinks that that's a bad thing to watch the professionals have a little debate about what's best. Because then they know that we're really working toward finding the right solution rather than just being right.
Yeah, believe to put it simply, at least the way I hear it is, when all the professionals leave their egos at the door and say, okay, how can we help Ryan and his family, then we're going to be good, right? Use your level of expertise for the benefit of Ryan and his family and all the things that they're trying to achieve.
Guys, if you want to fight over me, I'm okay with it. So I would enjoy the show and know that you guys are working on my behalf and my family's behalf. So I appreciate that. Gentlemen, it is, gosh, you talk to any business owner, it's challenging out there to get a great employee, somebody that's going to be working with you and your team for a long period of time, that has the buy-in, that has all the things you want in a great employee. We're not talking about employees today. We're talking about building a great advisory team, which is arguably even more important to a business owner, selfishly speaking. How do you find great advisors and great advisor teams? Because they don't grow on trees. You want them to work with the fiduciary duty in mind and work on your behalf and use that collaborative approach like you mentioned. So how do you find great advisors?
Talk with your current, if you only have one person on your team, trusted advisor, maybe if you're a business owner, you most likely stop doing your own taxes at some point. Talk to that. If you trust that tax person, ask them. Talk to your other professionals that are in your network, or if you know other business owners, who are they working with? Seek out someone that is in a position that you want to be in with your business, whether it's in the same industry or a different, right? If they are willing to share, which most people, right, if you live in the abundance mindset as opposed to the scarcity mindset, you're willing to share. Hey, we work with this person and they are fantastic. Let me make an introduction for you. Again, the best advisors are generally going to be willing to share their information, and they're not going to hoard it.
Yeah, I think referrals is, it's probably cliche, but I mean, the referral is probably the best solution. If there's somebody you already trust. Now, I can think of a lot of business owners that also belong to associations where they're surrounded by like-minded people. And the most successful guy in the room is the one who everybody wants to hear from. So, always be asking questions of somebody who might be a level above you in terms of their success or in terms of where they're at with their business, and find out what it is they did.
Mm-hmm. No, it's good. Yeah. What's the expression? You're the sum of the five people you spend the most time with. I believe. Well, I think most of that expression pertains to your friends and the people you socialize with. I think the same can be said for business owners and this who they're spending their professional time with. They're the sum of the five people. So make those five your trusted advisory team that you look up to. Um, Guys, you've worked with family business owners for decades now. What's one thing that you wish every owner understood?
Yeah. So for most business owners, that is going to be their largest asset. And understand that shouldn't be your only plan. Again, if you look at the statistics from the Exit Planning Institute, you're going to transition out of your business at some point, whether it's a purposeful planned transition, right? Because you're ready to retire or move on to the next thing, or there's, an unfortunate accident, a death, a divorce, whatever, and you're going to transition out of it. And so, how do you do that in such a way to understand you don't want to give up a significant chunk of your greatest asset?
Yeah, I think one of the one thing that I know I'm trying to do is I'm trying to practice retirement. Um, I think it's important for successful people to say, well, I can know the transition. I can find out all the steps I need to take. But at the end of the transition, once it's completed successfully, where am I? What am I doing? So I think it's real important that you factor in not just the selling of the business, but what happens after. Because there's a lot of people who are, their biggest regret after they've sold the business is not knowing what they're going to do next.
Yeah, and on top of that, yeah, it's if you look at statistically, after 12 months, the percentage of business owners who sold their business who regret it is 80 plus percent that they regret selling a year later. Well, why is that? Right? Ask yourself those questions. What's your average Tuesday going to look like when you're retired?
Guys, how does Morrison Nordman though approach this whole advisory team differently? How do you guys? I mean, you guys you do a lot right. You pride yourselves on the way you guys work with your clients. So, how do you view what you do differently from the rest of the pack, if you will?
Yeah, it's build the smartest team in the room. And we don't try to be the smartest person in the room. We know we all, what is the Mark Twain? We're all ignorant. It's just in different areas. And I don't like to think I'm ignorant. So, hey, we're all smart. It's just in different areas. If you surround and create the team that has the smartest and best experts in those areas that are needed, whether it is estate, whether it is business transition, whether it is commercial banker, whether it is charitable giving, whatever the need is, we build that team for you, Ryan. That's going to, again, I know it sounds redundant, but again, is to achieve all those things that you tell us are most important, and to show you things that you didn't even think are possible are going to be possible.
I think the only thing I would add to that is that if you're surrounded by people who only agree with you, you're probably in trouble. Because if they're just saying what you want to hear to stay employed, then and they're not thinking about really what's best for you, then hey, there's going to be some contrasting opinions if everybody's really thinking about what's best for Ryan. We may all understand you differently until there's some clarification, until there's some confirmation from Ryan or whatever additional information we need to get more clear. But yeah, I think a good team doesn't necessarily agree with just all the time. I think there's a lot of give and take and a lot of what if, kind of doing some comparing and contrasting of, okay, well, let's play this out. Let's do, if we do this, what could be the potential outcome? Is that really where we want to go? That kind of thing. That's where all the different expertises can offer that contrast.
All right, guys, I love this. And as we get ready to wrap today's discussion, a final item I think we should hit that's worthwhile for our listeners out there, which we know is comprised of family business owners. What's one question those folks should be asking themselves today?
If my business doubled, doubled in size over the next 3 years, would my current advisory team, the people that I have in place who are really looking out for me, are they going to be ready for that? And if the answer is no, don't wait, right? Build a team for the business that you want and that you're going toward, not for the business that you have, right? Build it before you need it. Strongest family businesses aren't built by one brilliant person. You have great families surrounded by a great team.
And it doesn't mean that the team you might need to replace was a bad team. It was just the team. I think about, I used to play, high school football. It wasn't the same coaches that I needed to carry on into college football. And I'm sure for the professionals, it's not just the college coaches they need to transition into the professional game. There's a reason why you're taking one step to the next. And each of those teams was important along the way. So it's not where you feel like I'm firing a team as much as you're saying, hey, I need to find a team that's going to be the best resource for me given where I'm at now.
I love it. I think that's a great spot for us to end here today, guys. This was really, really helpful for our successful business owner audience out there. Gentlemen, for anybody that is looking to assemble that team or enhance their team and could benefit from doing exactly what we encourage folks to do today, and that was to reach out to their current team, their wealth manager, to start sourcing some of those professional relationships or beginning the discussions about what does our next step look like, or where do we go from here in terms of building out our team. What is the best way somebody could reach out to you guys, open up a dialogue, and begin building or assembling the team that they want to have, not the one for the business that they currently have?
Book a get to know you call. Go to our website, Morrison, Nordmann, 2 N's on the end of my name.com. There's a little link. Book a call. Or pick up the phone, 517-333-7967. Give us a call.
Fantastic. Well, guys, hey, I know you've got clients to serve. I will let you get back to doing that, but I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you back here on the next one.
Thanks, Ryan. Have a good one. Scott, see you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Ryan.
All right, fellas, and thank you again. And look, folks, we want to take a final moment and thank you for making us a part of your day. If you enjoyed today's discussion, if you learned a thing or two, make sure you hit the subscribe button on whichever platform you checked us out on today, so that way you don't miss out on future conversations. Look, success isn't about having all the answers. It's about having the right people asking the right questions in the right corner, and that's a corner for you. But look, for Matt, Scott, and myself, we're going to go ahead and say so long, but we appreciate each and every one of you stopping by and being with us today on Path to Abundant Living.